这河水有大。
On August 26th, severe flooding across southern China's Guangxi Zhuang Autonomous Region caused widespread damage, submerging homes and roads and isolating communities. About 54,000 people were relocated after torrential rain from Typhoon Nara pushed rivers to historic levels. In Ningming County, more than 55,000 people were affected as floodwater moved through the county town and surrounding villages, entering ground floors, covering storefronts, and cutting access to low-lying communities. In some neighborhoods, muddy water rose close to rooftops and power lines.
哎呀呀，太吓人了，得下去救他。啊，没事的，没事没事。
Rescue teams used rubber boats to reach residents who could not leave safely. In some homes, floodwater blocked the first floor, while residents on the second floor had no safe exit. Crews maintained contact with those waiting for evacuation and delivered food and drinking water where road access was impossible.
涨水了，涨水了，水位涨水了，马上就封冻了大桥。
By noon on August 25th, rescue and relief forces had moved 22,000 eight-stranded residents to safety. In a separate relocation count, authorities identified 19,356 people for relocation and had moved 19,163 of them. More than 1,200 rescue and emergency personnel were deployed across the county.
没有办法了，情况不容乐观一点啊！不是刮风就是下雨，这种天气，不是我们不努力。
Two gauges on the Mingjiang River recorded historic crests within hours. At 12:40 a.m., the Ningming Hydrological Station near Dong'an recorded a crest of 124.59 meters, 6.69 meters above its warning level. Discharge reached about 5,130 cubic meters per second, the station's highest measured flood since monitoring began in 1953. 'At 7:30 a.m., the Ningming County Town Station recorded a crest of 123.69 meters, or 7.69 meters above warning. Discharge reached about 5,680 cubic meters per second. Guangxi hydrological authorities described it as the station's highest measured flood since monitoring began there in 2009. At 3:10 a.m. that morning, the Zhuojiang River gauge in Longzhou recorded a crest of 124.54 meters, 7.34 meters above its warning level. Discharge reached approximately 6,780 cubic meters per second, the station's largest measured flood since 1986. All 12 townships in Longzhou reported some impact. Local authorities counted 21,559 affected people and 5,816 flooded homes, while 15,535 people from 6,619 households had been relocated or resettled by the previous evening. More than 10,000 of those relocations were recorded in Longzhou town.
现在锦溪的水位已经高过地面大概80公分了，还是挺高的。然后这些沙袋挡着还好一点，不然的话水全部淹到里面去。这边现在。
Boat crews worked through streets where floodwater exceeded 2 meters in places. Strong currents, floating debris, and low-hanging power lines complicated each trip. One firefighting team moved 70 residents in a day, including a 92-year-old woman who was carried to a boat and transferred with 8 other people.
水多，拉条也多。
In Shangjin Township, floodwater temporarily surrounded a village with 385 residents. One patient in the village needed urgent dialysis, prompting rescuers to enter on a small bamboo raft, open a route through the flooded area, and transfer the patient for medical treatment.
一下去，如果那边走就会出现这壮丽的景观，右见趵突泉、大瀑布、河流。
Jiangzhou district raised its flood control emergency response to level 1 as the Zhejiang and nearby rivers continued rising. More than 14,900 people had been evacuated there by the same morning. Armed police, firefighters, and amphibious rescue vehicles were deployed to reach isolated communities and restore access and communications. Longzhou authorities reported no deaths or missing people in their latest update. Ningming's latest available reports also recorded extensive transfers and rescues without listing fatalities or missing residents from this Nara-related flood. In Nanning, the Yujiang River reached 74.04 meters, 1.04 meters above its warning level. Docks and riverside walkways were submerged, and the city section of the river was closed to shipping. Region-wide, 20 hydrological stations on 14 rivers exceeded warning levels in the 24 hours ending at 8 a.m. that morning. During the 3 days ending on August 24th, Jilang Township in Ningming recorded 618.2 millimeters of rain. Nanping Yao Township in Shaanxi County recorded 724.7 millimeters during the same period.
看着那个小树了吗？我得往那边走。看，这是我在台阶上边的高度，我不敢下。下去了，瞅你吧，你给我下去。真的你还多了，你回头瞅瞅。回不去，回不去。
Nara lingered over the Beibu Gulf for several days before making landfall in Hainan as a tropical storm. Its slow movement fed moisture to Guangxi, Hainan, and Guangdong, while saturated ground and upstream inflows kept pressure on the Mingjiang and Zhejiang river systems.
ผมทั้งปักตูถุนแล้วทั้งชองผมทั้งปักตูใจแล้วไม่มีตีอยู่แล้ว
Floodwater had begun receding in parts of Ningming and Longzhou. Streets and buildings were coated in mud, while crews cleared debris, repaired damaged roads and power facilities, and restored access to communities that had been isolated. Workers were repairing a highway section affected by a slope collapse and restoring damaged power equipment in Jilang Township. Water levels remained high in parts of the river system, and rescue operations and recovery work were still active. Forecasters warned that additional heavy rain could affect southern China as other tropical systems approached the coast.